Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting the like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Throwaway Farmer. It was originally posted in December 2020, but now has a 6-year later update attached to it. It's titled, Mother 42 female who abandoned us in the middle of the night came back after 16 years and it's killing me. 24 female inside that my brother 17 and father 42 are too forgiving towards her. And as I said, after the first post there's an update 6 years later. My story is a bit long and I apologize for the upcoming wall of text. She and my father were high school sweethearts who got pregnant at a very early age of 17 and had me a month of their prom. And we lived in a rural place that's not big enough to be called a town, but still larger than your average village. Anyway, they settled themselves to farmer's life after graduating and had my brother 7 years later, and she left us when my brother was only a month and a half old baby. To this day, I can still remember waking up to get ready for school and finding my father on the ground kneeling over and crying holding one of my notebooks. I was just a child at the time, and seeing my father curled up like that made me cry too. And that's when my father got hold of his emotions and righted himself up to pick me up. She, in a hurry to leave, literally took a notebook from my school bag and wrote her half-assed excuses to why she was leaving us, how she never wanted kids, how she shouldn't have gotten pregnant, and how things should have turned out differently, and how the small town was smothering her around her neck, and she needed to get away, and how the second child, my brother, was the final noose that wouldn't let her breathe. I learned what she wrote on that notebook a year or so later when I found it in the drawers. She left with our truck and had someone deliver us the truck a month or so later without even sending a word or anything. Just some guy came and said, "Here's your truck." My father was a mess afterwards, not taking care of the farm, stopped eating, started drinking. It was the fact that I stopped going to school to take care of my brother, while my aunt, her sister and her husband's words that finally made him bounce back. You could see he was sad for a lot of years, and still even after a decade, he would get all closed up around the time she left or on their anniversaries. It was us, Dad and I, who took care of my brother. I'd come back from school, do the dishes that was left over from our breakfast and take care of my brother until he was a few years older. I slowly became the woman of the house, so to speak. I'd cook the food, do the dishes and take care of my brother after school, and my father would spend nearly all his awake hours trying to manage the farm. We weren't the richest people around, but with only one depressed adult and 2 small kids, we earned more than what we needed, and even saved up a bit for my brother's college fund. My father insisted that I should have one for myself as well, but I was spending too much time on domestic and farm-related stuff to actually focus on my studies. And if I have to be honest, I love the farm, animals, and taking care of my brother. Anyway, nearly a year ago she returned to visit her family, my aunt and us too, and she apparently was planning settling back here permanently. We knew that she had a good few years of modeling, which led her to joining the staff of some sort of magazine from our aunt, as she still called her from time to time. She tried calling us a few times as well, but I refused to talk with her. I think she was too ashamed to ask to talk with my brother. Anyway, when she came back, she apparently had enough for settling back here with a new house and some land. After a few days of her coming here, she tried to contact us again when she and my dad ran into each other at the town centre. My dad said he told her about my opinion of her, but she insisted. Apparently she felt she owed me an explanation, and I told her to shove it for lack of a better term, with a few extras on the side as well. She tried the emotional, regretful parent on me with her crying and all, but I didn't buy it, or rather I just wish she never came back to disturb us and lived in her airy, breathable, big city life and left us all the hell alone. My brother was not there at the time as he's just in his first year of college. He was admitted via early enrollment thanks to him being a lovable genius that he is. I knew my dad was still in love with her. I tried to set up a few dates for him before, but it never went anywhere, and that summer, this summer, they started dating again to my dismay, and my brother's joy. My dad invited her over to dinner when my brother came back from his summer break and we had a family dinner. I wanted to warn my brother about her, but seeing his enthusiasm about it, I couldn't break his heart, so I just stayed civil and didn't speak unless spoken to. My father had kept that notebook for more than a decade, but I decided to burn it when I was 19. My father and I had a pretty big fight about how I had no right to burn it, but I said to him that it was better than my brother accidentally finding it and reading how his mother thought that he's a noose around her neck that wouldn't let her breathe, and caved in after that. And now whenever I see her in our house talking with my brother who looks up to her like a genie finally granted his wish, I remember what she wrote, and the rage and hatred that goes through my very soul is becoming that goddamn noose that won't let me breathe. My brother had a talk with me this morning about me being cold towards her, and it turned heated when my brother said, "Why wouldn't I be happy? I finally have a mother. We finally have a mother." And I shouted back at him, "I was your mother, not that whore, and I don't have a mother." And I made my brother storm out of the house crying, and seeing him cry made me cry while my father tried to mediate between us and failed. The fact that I can't tell him that I hate her because she detested us, her own goddamn children, because it will hurt him more. The fact that she abandoned and scored the loveliest, most innocent looking baby with sky blue eyes when she was supposed to be a mother to him. I was a goddamn 7-year-old child when I cooed at him and changed his diapers for the first time with my aunt showing me how it's done, and I didn't resent him. I loved him like a brother, and I loved him like she was supposed to. And the little comments people make about her and me now that she's back are just salt to the wound about our likeness. Even my brother once commented how we look so alike, smile at each other, and how she probably looked like me when she had him, and it took all my willpower to not snap at him. I know that being this bitter, cold person will drive my brother away, and I know I should stop if I wish to preserve this blissful moment, even though the cause is her, but I can't help it. The worst part is, since she came back, she's not the heartless piece of shit that left us. She never raised her voice when I cursed at her when my brother was not around, or told her to leave us alone, or when the time I asked if she was avoiding me because I shouldn't be born at all, and she's trying to fix a mistake by avoiding me. I once even told her that does she think about the noose when my brother hugs her, and she just looked like she was punched and got teary-eyed, but only apologized and didn't try to defend herself. I can't even enjoy hurting her. She doesn't fight back. She's not the monster I made her out to be. At least, she isn't now. And the worst part today made me resentful and tired, like I don't even have strength to feel emotions. I actually understand the resentfulness now. Am I truly just like her for resenting my brother for forgiving her and calling her his mother when I raised him myself with a depressed father at home when I was just a child myself? Or the fact that my father accepted her back so quickly makes me see him as a weak-willed man that makes me question the respect I have for him? Did I resent the fact that I stayed here on the farm, not going to college? They made me skip a grade as well before my mother left us. Would I find some sort of new outlook on life at college that would make me more like my brother or father and be happy instead of being resentful? I've vented quite a bit, and I'm sorry and thankful to you guys as I think it let me unwind a bit. So my question is, what am I going to do now? So one of the top commenters says to OP, look up the term parentification. All your feelings are valid and appropriate. What happened to you was horrible, awful. As a mother of 2 children, close in age to you and your brother when your mum left, I have felt strangled. I have. I've never said it and I'd never act on it, but I have. I can't judge your mother, but I know this. None of this is your fault. You're a loving, kind person, and you are right to be very, very angry and hurt. Opie says thanks. Looked up what parentification is. I guess I'm a pretty good example of one, huh? I know parenting and responsibilities can be overbearing. I experienced them myself from a very young age. You said that you can't judge her, but can you answer me this? I hope never, but if one day you had to abandon your children because you couldn't take it anymore, what would be your final words about them? Would it be, I love you and I'm sorry, or would it be, she should have never been born? Put the daughter in, he's a noose around my neck for the newborn son. I could understand the former. I may have disliked it, but I could understand it. She was a child when she had me. I may have had to grow up fast, but I know how my classmates were. They were children at her age and she faced motherhood. But her parting words about her to us were resentful. She never wrote that she loved us in that message, just the fact that we were a burden to her. I mean, isn't what parenthood is? Carrying and caring for your child until they can stand on their own 2 feet. The commenter replies, you're right. Carrying and caring for your children until they can stand on their own 2 feet is what parenting is. But you don't need me to tell you that. You've been parenting for a long time. The only situation in which I would ever leave my children would be if I knew I was dying and I had time to write a note, and it would say this: my darlings, I was born to love you. I was born to be your mother, and having you has been the joy and privilege of my life. Wherever I am, know that no power on earth or in heaven can keep me from you, and that wherever you are, I will be there. Think of me, and I am with you. Forever and ever, Mummy. And your mother should have written that, OP, but something deep inside her is very, very broken. OP responded saying, you got me crying reading those words. She looks at me when I'm not paying attention and averts her eyes when my eyes turn to her, and sometimes I just wish she could blurt out something like this, so I can break down crying and she can hug me like she used to, and whisper I love you and I got you now, I'm here now, I'm sorry, and then I can finally let go. Opie then begins talking to another commenter and says, to be honest, even if she knew how to do that, I'm not sure I know what my answer to her would be or even should be. A part of me would want to let go, but there's also a part of me that, why now? What happened? Will she leave us again? Is she here because she was never able to find true happiness? Is she here because she couldn't take the guilt anymore? Is she here because she wanted to be here for so long but didn't have the courage? Would she be here if she found the thing she was looking for, the thing she left us for? Did she think about the son she left crying because of diaper rash, as his sister still can't clean him well enough in diaper changing, when she was having one of those fancy cocktails in one of those model parties? I can go on, and even typing these replaced any sense of romanticized feelings created by my previous emotional post-anger again. There's so much I want to know, but at the same time, even then my wish of wanting to know about her life irks me. I just want to return back to normal, before she returned, but I can't. And thanks for replying to so many of my posts and trying to give me a peace of mind in my emotional state. I guess I'm going to lie down for a few hours now, as I feel so spent. One of the original commenters says, quoting, will she leave us again, and says, maybe. Will she ever be there for you in the way that you need her to be? Probably not. She didn't just leave once. Every day she woke up and decided not to come back to her children again. She chose to be gone every day for many years. She knew it was your birthday or Christmas or graduation, but she stayed gone over and over and over. Oh, that is absolutely brutal, and the commenter's absolutely correct that Opie's feelings are 100% valid in this to feel that way. It seems that she was the one who paid the biggest price despite having the least responsibility for any of it, and her brother was just a baby when their mother left. He doesn't remember the abandonment, the note that Opie's protected him from, or their dad collapsing. His experience of his mother is essentially someone who's always been missing, who has just suddenly appeared and wants to know him. So I get why he's kind of excited to finally say, I have a mother, but from OP's perspective, bloody hell. 7 years old, remembering her father crying on the floor and then watched him absolutely fall apart. Stopped going to school to help with her baby brother, learned to change nappies, cooked, cleaned, and became the person who was running the house. And I get why Opie would be feeling this way all these years where Opie's been carrying everything to just watch her dad and brother forgive the mother just really quickly by the sounds of it. And in the end, her brother's gonna get his mother back, her dad potentially gets the woman he always loved back, she's potentially getting another chance at the family she abandoned. What does OP get out of this? She's not gonna get her childhood back. She doesn't get the education that she admits suffered because she was looking after the house and her brother. She doesn't get all those years where somebody should have been taking care of her. And I don't know what OP really should be doing in this situation because her feelings are her own on this, but I kind of think that she's not going to be able to get what she wants from the mum. I think OP wants the 16 years of being someone's daughter back, and that's something that the mother's never going to be able to give her. But OP did come back into the post 6 years later and says, I don't know if it's the postpartum hormones or not, but I had my third son 3 weeks ago, and I've been thinking about my post from years ago and people who replied. You validated my feelings and even shared your own traumas to lighten my load. I just wanted to share my story with you guys. That night I left to stay at my aunt's place. A few days later, my mother came to see me. For the first time, she wasn't evasive. She looked at me fully, spoke honestly, and said she felt undeserving of the joy she now felt. She promised that if her presence was too difficult, she wouldn't visit the farm again. She told me that this was my home more than anyone else's. Then she said, teary-eyed, that no matter what path I chose, no matter the decisions I made in life, even if I hated her, she'd always love me and be there for me. Hearing her say that made something inside me soften. I think I forgave her that day, though I didn't let myself admit it. I returned home that day. I finally stopped making excuses and accepted my boyfriend's proposal. Really long story. We married and my dad moved in with my mum, leaving me the farm and his truck. I have 3 sons now, still struggling to believe I could fit 3 pregnancies into 5 years. After my first pregnancy, my father and mother started staying around to help. Things became less awkward and I got used to her presence. The real change happened after I brought my first son home. I was lying on my bed, whispering to him that I would never leave him and that he'd always have me. I saw her watching from the door, silently crying. Something in me finally gave in. I cried for an hour as she hugged me. I don't even remember much about what we said to each other, but at the end it felt like finally sitting down after a long day of exhausting work. I missed her so much as a child, but I always felt shame for it. This time, I didn't feel shame. Until that moment, she was always you when I was speaking with her and she when I was speaking about her. But after that, it wasn't awkward or forced to call her mum again. I don't know why or how, but weirdly enough, that's how I started calling her mum again. She's now a doting grandma, trying to relive the moment she missed with my brother by helping me with my boys. I never told my brother about the note she left in my notebook. I realized that if she was truly remorseful, there was no point in revealing it other than sadistic pleasure, and I didn't want to hurt him for something out of his control. To those who validated my feelings 6 years ago, thank you. I still think my younger self would be angry, but I would tell her the same thing Mum told me. No matter what path she chooses, I still love her all the same, and be there for her. I'm happy with my decision now. I tried to keep this as short as possible. Thank you so much. Those months leading up to the post-night, and especially the 3 or 4 days until my mother came to visit me at my aunt's place, were very dark times for me. Your messages helped me more than I could express via words, especially you, the commenter that we was talking about. Thank you and stay safe. And it's one of those updates that made me feel a bit all over the place because OP is entitled to forgive her mother, and I'm glad it brought her some kind of peace, right? Because OP deserves that, but as an outsider reading this, text format, all that kind of stuff, I'm having a hard time getting there. And the line where it said, I will always love you and be there for you is, that's a choice of words, right? Because you weren't. You weren't there when your 7-year-old daughter woke up and found her father crying on the floor. You weren't there when she was learning to change your newborn son's nappies. And you weren't there when she was cooking, cleaning, and helping him raise him instead of simply getting to be his big sister. You weren't there for the birthdays, the Christmases, school years, everything. Just the ordinary moments that make up someone's childhood. And we weren't talking about like a couple of years where she suffered some crisis where she had to be away and then tried to repair things. We're talking about 16 years. And there was an earlier comment that we read where OP was just basically wanting her mum to blurt something out like, I love you and I got you now, I'm here now. And I kind of feel like that's just what she did, and now OP's just forgiven just like that. And maybe it's harsh of me, but I'm not sure I could be so forgiving in that situation. But obviously I've never lived that either. However, whatever goes on, I really do wish OP all the best going forward. It breaks my heart for that 7-year-old child that went through all that. I can't imagine what she went through, all the thoughts and feelings of a child who was growing up with that, and what they've carried into later life as well. It sounds like she's doing really well at the moment with her children, etc. It sounds like she's in a much happier place, and I really do wish that for her. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Skullfire2099 from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. It says, Am I the arsehole for considering breaking up with my girlfriend because of a white-haired dog? We have been in a long-distance relationship for about a year now. After her last visit to me, her friend got her a husky mix to help her with depression, supposedly, without talking to my girlfriend about it. That dog has white hair. I have an office job where I wear black pants to work every day. I can pull out a clean pair of pants, and if the dog rubs against me, there is dog hair all over it. I'm not against dogs. I have one myself and live with a family member's dog as well. One is mine with short grey hair that does not show up on my clothes. The other is a small black dog that doesn't shed on me. Also, my girlfriend and I have been talking about moving in together. Rather than getting a place for 2 people and 1 dog, I will have to consider getting a place with a bigger yard too for 2 dogs to run in. She has had the dog for about a month now. I didn't feel it's right to tell her it's me or the dog, as this is the 2nd dog she has had this year. The other one she gave away to someone else before coming to visit me. She doesn't work in an office environment like I do, so appearances are less of an issue for her. One of the commenters says, you're the arsehole. This is a stupid reason to break up with someone considering pet hair and lint rollers exist. Go to literally any store and you can find them. Reverend Vader says, in OP's defense, not for the judgment, I think some of you may be missing the gravity of this issue. I just knew he was going to say husky. These dogs shed like they grow a new coat daily when it's bad. I haven't seen my daughter in 3 weeks because I told her if she comes with a normally welcome dog, husky, she cleans the hair up as she's right in the middle of shedding. She knows that means vacuum time goes from my normal 15 minutes whole house to at least 2 hours. The couch takes about an hour on its own. Therefore, her teenage logic equals stay at home and let her mum clean it up. Husky shedding is a nightmare that you get used to when the dog lives with you, but when it doesn't. I would also be cautious around 2 dogs in 1 year. That raises an impulsivity concern with big life responsibilities. Opie says, Husky Border Collie mix. Someone says you're the arsehole for wasting everyone's time, including your own, with this stupid post. Commenter says, you're the arsehole. I had to wear black for my job. My partner had a white cat. Buy one of those sticky rollers and use it in the car/way to work. It'd be a massive arsehole if you genuinely break up with her over this menial shit. So OP updates 22 days later and says, I made the post 22 days ago and I have a small update to it. I made the post with some heavy jet lag, having flown to visit my girlfriend across the pond. I was tired after a long flight on top of other stress. 2 people and a dog stuck in one small room with lots of strangers in a foreign country, and I didn't speak the language. Yes, that is stressful. The dog is a Husky Border Collie mix that was rescued off the street in Romania. On top of the shedding, he didn't like me and didn't listen to me after a few days. At times he would growl at me coming around him or my girlfriend. A few days after my post, I left where we were staying with my girlfriend and her dog to go to her place. There I was able to sleep in, have space, have time to think and de-stress. I saw a video on my girlfriend's computer of her dog at the shelter. He was happy to see the people at the kennel and he was looking forward to the attention and food from them. After that video, it made me realize that he was new to the situation and not scared or aggressive like I thought he was, as my girlfriend only had him for a few weeks when I first met him. I went through the trick routine that my girlfriend went through with him, rewarding him with cheese for several days. Then I started walking him on my own. By the end of my trip, he was excited for me to even put my hand on his leash. He followed my commands and we became best buds. My girlfriend even has a good picture of him cuddling with me on the couch. Now that I'm back home, her dog has been moping around and laying in the chair that I was sitting in most of the time, and I miss him. We were roughhousing at one point. I was playing on all fours when he crawled underneath me and rolled over to expose his belly and neck to me. A completely submissive move on his part. TLDR, made my original post out of stress, had time to calm down. Me and the dog are best friends now. I miss the little furball. And thank goodness, OP comes in with the dog tax, and what a beautiful little doggy it is. But you can see the hair in the background. That's a lot of fur. And I'm not sure if it's like a breakup worthy thing or whatever, but my brother used to have a Samoyed. I'm not sure if that's next level to compare to these shedding or whatever, but those lint rollers on Samoyed fur were fucking useless. 2 swipes with one of those and you can make yourself a Samoyed fur jacket. The commenter says on the back of this, I'm glad it worked out and you realized this was an easily solvable problem. Hope you have some lint rollers at the ready. We have a golden and it's insanity with the fur, but I love the giant idiot so much. Commenter replies saying, if you haven't got a robot vacuum yet, it's definitely worth it. You'll be emptying it every day, which is easy, but it makes such a difference not having your floor covered in golden hair 24/7. Opie says, I know robo cleaners are supposed to go around and stuff, but my brother brings his 3 kids over all the time and they don't clean up after themselves. It'd be difficult to use a robo cleaner with all the crap they leave out. Another commenter replies saying, I know someone with a husky who basically wears sweats until they actually get to work and then they change there. He said it's way easier than trying to fully remove all the fur with a lint roller. Also slightly cheaper and more comfortable. Opie says I decided after my OP that I'll have to come home and change into sweatpants or shorts right after getting home and keep an electric lint roller in my car/at my desk. Also updated for dog tax. Commenter says, I didn't see your original post, but I'm so happy you're able to put the pup's early behavior out of your mind. Dogs can be so frustrated and make you so mad, but there's a reason they're called man's best friend. Opie says my girlfriend's a little upset that the dog started liking me more than her. She's the strict parent, I'm the fun parent. Commenter says, that's great, it all worked out for you after all. But I may be a skeptic here and ask what would have happened if the dog hadn't turned out to be your bud after all. And even though you wrote the original post on high stress levels, which I fully understand, it is a long post, so you must have put at least some thought into it while writing. Isn't it all about luck your storyline changed? Still think it's either saying something about oneself or the state that any kind of relationship is in if the mentioned points trigger a breakup narrative. That's just how I would see it, which is never important to a personal case of a stranger. It is more a narrative you react to than it is given human advice, as you never experience the storyline as three-dimensional, as it is from the mere outside position of reading about it. But I'd be interested to hear about OP's thoughts on that side of the story. OP says I'm a US citizen, she's an EU citizen. Neither one of us meets the full requirements to immigrate to the other's country through any means other than marriage, which we are both against. What? Her due to a bad first marriage, me because I'm male and we typically lose out more in a divorce at the start, although we can make a better recovery. We dealt with some personal issues in the month-long trip. The dog wasn't a full issue, it was a straw on the camel's back issue, but now the camel is doing better. Hold up, wait a minute. What is going on with that last comment? It's like almost forget the dog in this. Where's this relationship actually going? They're both on different continents. Neither of them can realistically immigrate without getting married, or both of them are opposed to getting married. You know, that's an issue. And the reasoning? Bloody hell. Commenter says, I'm glad you made friends with a dog, but the fact that something this trivial, in the grand scheme of life that is, and that may not have seemed trivial at the time, made you seriously consider ending this relationship entirely doesn't bode well for the future of this relationship itself. You guys are talking about moving in together and making huge life changes for this relationship, so you ought to be pretty damn committed to it before you go and take those steps. I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that your girlfriend is probably the one who'll be uprooting her entire life to move to another country to be with you. Before you ask her to make such huge sacrifices and life-altering changes for this relationship, you ought to be sure it's a relationship you plan on sticking with for the long haul. And jumping straight from I don't get along with her dog to maybe I should end things doesn't sound like someone who is buckling themselves in for a lifetime ride. Opie says you're right. She would most likely lose out by moving over here. I'd be financially responsible for her until some conditions are met. That means even if she were the kind of person to pull a credit card scam, I would be liable. She does not seem like that kind of person to do that. However, I had a late start in life. I'm just now to a point where I'm financially secure, and if it were not for the crappy house market, I would have a house right now. The prospect of someone else being able to wipe out my savings is something that has given me cause of pause. We did work and talk about some personal issues while we're on the trip. The dog is a straw on the camel's back, but now the camel's back is feeling better. I wish we could stop going on about the camel's back, it's giving me pillar vibes here. Commenter says, in my opinion, the best way to avoid getting pet hair on your work clothes is simply to store the clothes in a room where the pets are not allowed. At my place, we keep the cats out of our bedroom. While I love those little fluff balls, it's really nice to have a fur and dander-free space. Glad you and the pup are friends now. Opie says space is currently limited as I live at home. Bad housing market, and my brother brings his 3 kids over frequently, who have an entire room to themselves, as well as taking up free space in the dining room, living room, family room, and patio. I'll be buying more sweatpants though. Bloody hell. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it really does mean the world. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.